and welcome to the AstroEnergyAstrology Show podcast with Astrologer Shelley Overton. Hi, this is Shelley. If you would like to learn more about astrology, check out Learn Astrology, an ebook digital download online at angeliczodiac.com.
So hello, welcome to this week's Astro Energy Astrology Show podcast with me, your astrologer, Shelley Overton. I am in Orlando now, so we're going to be talking astrology today. We're talking a little bit about what's coming up in the week and also Britney Spears, what's going on with her. I have a little bit of laryngitis, and so I've been kind of fighting it for about a week. And I know I screamed too loud about a week ago, and it really damaged my throat. So I'm trying to not talk as much as possible. Doesn't mean I'll be able to do that, but it may mean that the podcast is a little bit shorter than it is normally. So anyway, that all being said, we're going to just kind of chit-chat a little bit. And I had potato chips. Probably not a good thing for my throat. Hang on. You know what we're kind of going through? I'm just going to give you a bit of what I'm feeling, because every week I go over what I see in the chart. I'm going to bring it down so I'm not looking up so high. There we go. I look at what's going on. I've got all my stuff in front of me to tell you what's going on in the week. But I feel like sometimes it can be more academic and not as warm and fuzzy, which I kind of like having that sense that I'm your friend and I can connect to you and you understand astrology better because of what I'm telling you. So my experience is currently that with Jupiter retrograding now, Jupiter rules home, like moving. That's more specifically what I want to say. Is it rules so many things, as do all the planets and all the signs. But I will apologize for my voice. It's kind of funky sounding. I get it. But if you can tolerate listening to me, thank you. I appreciate you. Jupiter, expansive, transitionary, transformative, and trans is probably a key word for Jupiter. It transitions, it creates a movement from one thing to another. So that's why trans. Anyway, Jupiter in Pisces is understanding a broader perspective on the emotional connection to the collective. And so Jupiter expands that. It expands our sensitivity. It expands our daydreaminess, our kind of fuzzy, foggy brain. It makes us more sleepy. It puts us in an emotional mindset that allows and opens us up to what other people are feeling, what other people are thinking, and we realize how enmeshed we are in the collective. And Jupiter transitions the energy, and what it does is it also transmutes, which means it takes the energy and it shifts it, and it can clean the energy of the past, and it expands where it's going into. So, of course, Jupiter recently, I've got a printer under my feet here. Let me push it out of the way. I probably can't get it all the way out of the way. Jupiter went into Pisces earlier in May, and so it went from that air quality of clarity and organizing, getting rid of things, really good at detachment, and moved into this deep, watery, sentimental, emotional energy of Pisces. So, and you know, I'm in the fan. It's so hot here in Orlando. I don't even have what the temperature is, but we're getting a mini hurricane. What is a mini hurricane? I guess it's a Cat 1 downgrading to a tropical storm. So mini, I don't know. Well, it's Orlando, so it's a Minnie Mouse hurricane. but named Elsa, so it even goes better with Frozen. Anyway, yeah, so we're expecting that through Monday. I guess we've been getting weather for a couple days now, and weather bands, rain, things like that. I'm just looking, 83 it says it is outside. I just opened up a new window on my browser because it always tells me the weather. And so that's actually pretty cool because we've been getting a lot of rain. So, so having Jupiter going from this deeply emotive, sleepy, dreamy energy, and it's also school. I recently moved back to Orlando. My daughter, the same weekend, last weekend, moved into a dorm, and so and it was the second time, which is all the Gemini energy. Mercury is now direct in Gemini. So we're redoing something we've already done before because it's two twins. And then Jupiter going back, it's like, okay, now we're going to revisit where we were. Now, I personally moved, my daughter moved, but you could potentially revisit an old relationship, revisit an old job, an old career. I'm also dabbling in an old career that I had back in the late 80s. It wasn't even a career, it was more like a job, but I got another job for extra money. And so I'm kind of doing some of that work coming up next week and in the future. And so it's going back and revisiting where we've been. And Jupiter now is at 1 degree of Pisces, sitting right on my Saturn. So it's awakening my sensibility around my career and what I want to do with my career. It's definitely making me, right at the moment, very drowsy. I mean, I was sitting here in the room this morning, just kind of fading out, just daydreaming or zoning out in general. It's like, oh, I could just sit here and do nothing with my eyes open for half an hour. That kind of energy. So if you've been feeling that, Jupiter in Pisces is a big reason why. So yeah, I'm gonna take a sip, trying to keep my throat a little bit moist. Yeah, and so 1 degree Jupiter in Pisces is, let's see, what's he doing? Everybody's starting to get to later degrees of the zodiac except for the Sun at 11 degrees Cancer and Venus at 6 degrees. Well, I guess also Mars at 13 degrees Leo. So we've got, okay, so Sun at Cancer at 11 degrees means that there is an interplay. It is a little bit outside of a trine, but the trine energy means that they are signs that are compatible in a triangle. 120 degrees of a circle. So if you have a circle and you divide it into thirds, it's 120 degrees each. So that's what a trine means. Tricycle, 3 wheels, you get the idea. So having Jupiter in Pisces, getting ready to go into Aquarius, but not there yet, in the water energy where the sun is, means that our egos are connected to emotion. And Jupiter, while I wouldn't necessarily say it's a strong ego sign, in it rules Sagittarius, and Pisces definitely is not an ego sign. Pisces is the absence of ego, quite honestly, whereas the next sign, Aries, being a fire sign, is the ego. It rules the ego, rules the first house, how we see people. And so Pisces energy with the sun, they're both in watery, sentimental, emotional, security-minded Cancer signs. And so we're going to be more focused on, especially with Jupiter kind of in transit from one sign to another backwards, we're going to revisit the home. We're going to revisit the homeland, the places that we think about where we feel comfortable living. And then the sun is making us emotionally attached or connected. We are in America. I'm in America. We're 2 days away from the birth of America on July 4th, 1776. We're not in 1776, but we are recognizing that date. And so we are in a time of solar return. Now, do I know the exact solar return? I do not. So I apologize. I didn't actually do that much research. I have done the weekly research, and Britney Spears didn't do the solar return for America. But just giving that we're in this Cancer energy, Mercury is in Gemini, we have Gemini planets in the American chart. So we are about a duality. We are about a connectedness of mind to words. And what do we say? How are we feeling? Are we expressing that clearly? Mercury by sign, not by degree, meaning it's not exactly square to Jupiter, but it is not even square, but in conjunct. It's in conjunct by sign, but not by degree, which means it's not at the same degree Jupiter is. So if it were at 1 degree Gemini, it would be square, but it's actually moved between an in conjunct and a square. And so might be another aspect, but off the top of my head, being as dreamy and floaty as I am today, it escapes me. So Mercury is not cooperative, well, specifically not cooperative with Neptune, because Neptune's in Pisces at 23. So Mercury will be there in 4 days at 23 degrees, squaring Neptune. What does that mean? So let's see, we're at the 6th, so the 2nd. So on the 6th, pretty close. I'm just doing this by eyeball. I've got my chart here, but I really want to be a little bit more intuitive today, not surprising, with the Pisces energy, with the water energy, and the creative energy of Venus and Mars, both in Leo today. I'm just kind of feeling it instead of thinking it. So the Mercury squaring Neptune. Mercury thinking, communicating, squaring Neptune, which Neptune does a lot of things. Neptune allows us to understand how things affect the collective. So Mercury and Gemini, words, thoughts, and ideas are going to affect the collective. They're going to be taken in. I don't know. I had another word, but that isn't a word. Intook. It's not a word. They're going to be felt by the collective for their authenticity. And because Mercury is now direct, he initiated the energy, he reviewed the energy, now he's culminating and finishing the story in the Gemini energy. And so being at 19, he's the very last degree of the center decan, which is the Libra decan. So it's about how we relate to people, what are our thoughts on the connectedness in relationship, how we relate through words, through ideas. And then when he goes into the last decan at 20 or 21, depending on how you see the change, he will then be in the Aquarian decan. And so it goes Gemini, Libra, Aquarius in the sign of Gemini. And then when he gets to that last 20 degrees, like in a day or Saturday, he's going to feel a little bit more hard to pin down, more independent-minded, pulling back. And that kind of relates to my daughter and what's going on in her relationship. She's feeling detached. Her special fella is feeling he needs alone time. It is his birthday and his solar return. So his chart very much answers to what's going on today because his birthday is the 5th or 6th. I think it's the 6th, Monday. So it's the 5th. And, excuse me. So he's really feeling this detachment energy. And that's what we can all be feeling right now, not only from Mercury squaring Neptune and also Jupiter moving back into Aquarius, but Saturn in Aquarius and Uranus in Taurus squaring Mars, Venus definitely cuts the stronger desire. Like Venus, Mars, and Leo want to connect, want to go out and party, want to have a nice dinner, connect and understand each other. How am I like you? But Uranus is the detacher, ruler of Aquarius, where Saturn is right now and where Jupiter is heading to. So Uranus in Taurus is about detachment from a certain couple love energy because it rules the second house of couples in the zodiac, where Venus is the natural ruler of the second house of Taurus. Uranus and Taurus squaring Leo this is the interesting about that energy. So Taurus likes romantic relationships, likes traditional romance, where Leo is fine with romance. It rules romance astrologically and couples, but he is more fiery and passionate and creative with it. This is flamboyant love. This is larger than life love. This is complimentary or needing compliments. This is flattery love. And Pisces, Neptune, also retrograde, kind of wakes us up and is, affecting that Leo, or will even more strongly as Venus and Mars get to later degrees in the 20s where Neptune resides right now. So they're going to have a bit of difficult clashing coming up this month in July, where Leo wants to be larger than life, flamboyant, ego driven, center of attention. Neptune slash Pisces is about no, 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 no. We want to pull back our energy. We're going to be holed up at home, take lots of naps. If anything, with relationships, they want to cuddle. They want to feel that really warm, fuzzy love energy. And so we're feeling that right now. Okay, so Moon is in Aries currently. We'll be going into Taurus for the rest of the weekend, starting Saturday, I believe, at wrong week. Let's go to Saturday, 8:28 a.m. Eastern. Saturday goes into Taurus and then heads into Gemini at the beginning of the week and stays, honestly, for me, what seems like a long time, but it's only 2.5 days, like they ever stay, like the moon ever is in a sign. Goes in at 9:24 p.m. on Monday and stays until 9:51 a.m. on Thursday. So Monday evening, Tuesday, Wednesday, and into Thursday morning, the meat of next week will be Moon in Gemini. So the Gemini energy is really what we're feeling. Even though Mercury is now direct, it's going to have a conjunction with the moon early next week. And so that's going to be kind of I want to say the culmination of the story. We had that moon was in Gemini. Was it a new moon? I want to say it was a new moon, but it could have been a full moon. Let me look. Yeah, I think it was a new moon in Gemini a few weeks ago. Looking. New moon Gemini, Thursday the 10th of June. Boy, that was almost a whole month ago. Seemed more recent. So that was kind of the beginning of a new Gemini story. And then the moon joining with Mercury, which is the ruler of Gemini, is going to be about how we communicate at home, how we communicate with siblings and neighbors. My daughter moved into a dorm, and now she's having difficulty with one. There was supposed to be 4 people in a dorm. One dropped out of school, so it's only 3 in a dorm, but there's 2 next to each other, and there's nobody in the third space, and the fourth space the other end of the hall. She stays up till 2 in the morning on a Thursday night with her friends, talking and loud, and my daughter didn't sleep very well because of this. So neighbors, the Gemini energy brings out friction with neighbors, or communication, or thoughts. It's all of that. So as the moon goes right now today, of course you'll see this tonight, moon is going to be going in tomorrow morning, so you may not even really connect the day to the moon in Aries, but a moon in Aries means more aggression, more assertive energy. It is, again, for a long time into the future, Aries will signify the police, aggression, the violence that comes from guns and knives, male aggression, or masculine aggression. Doesn't necessarily mean all males, could be masculine, but not necessarily all men, because there are feminine sides to men as well. But Aries is assertiveness and action, proactive drive. And so we'll see that more, that it's harder to sit still at home right now, that you want to go out and do things. And as the moon moves into Taurus, it's much more of a subdued, calming energy when we have the moon in Taurus, because it's feminine, receptive, and it is more thoughtful and pragmatic and thinking about what to do in the material world, money, but also love, pragmatism around our material world and worlds. and what we're going to do with the goods that we have. I need a new computer keyboard, Wi-Fi or wireless keyboard, so I'll probably end up getting that. I don't know if I'll get it to do today, but probably tomorrow. And so, yeah, we see a lot of this focus from when moon or any planet, but the moon specifically when it comes to home and drive around the home, is more action based. But when it gets to Taurus, it can make headway. It wants to, in action, take steps towards something, but it doesn't necessarily manifest till the energy gets into Taurus, which it will over Saturday and Sunday and into Monday. And so moon joining Uranus every month for, the next few years, 5 years maybe, the moon next to Taurus on the weekend is going to be accenting freedom from constriction around money, freedom from the love situation that isn't serving you, because it's very autonomous, very me serving, and my energy within the collective. And yes, we do believe in the collective with Uranus, but when the moon gets there, it will culminate a story around independence in a relationship or independence at home. So if you're in a relationship, again, using my daughter as an example, or boyfriend or potential boyfriend is living with his parents and he's wanting some alone time, which of course Uranus is accenting. As the the moon gets to Uranus, is it freedom from the relationship or freedom from the parents? It could be either or. So it just depends on where things fall in your chart as to how it interacts in your life. I'm going to quick talk about Saturn and Pluto and then take another sip break before we get into Britney Spears, because I have to keep this short since my voice is not going to last for very long. So Saturn opposing Venus and Mars. Saturn and Aquarius, of course, squaring Uranus, squaring Mars. So today there's a T-square, Mars approaching Venus in Mars to the T-square, Saturn and Uranus. It's really tough. I mean, I have a lot of feelings about this because, like I said, I really think this energy is strongly affecting my daughter's relationship. And so the Venus-Mars together are like, we're on the same page, we're together, how are we going to do this? And then you have Saturn, which is career, and an independent career that really does focus on multiple jobs or autonomy, one or the other. It's like you don't want to be pinned down. So you're either going to get multiple things to do, or you're going to be independent and work solely for yourself. And then Leo, opposite, of course, wants to connect one-on-one, isn't concerned about detaching. Saturn is. So the career wants us to move towards that freedom, but our desire, Venus in Leo, wants the attention, wants to be told we're beautiful, wants to be told that things will be all right and love exists in a very beautiful way. Mars also wants to connect and take the action to that connectedness, because Venus and Mars are together, which for a while they've been squaring and inconjunct and like just not cooperative. They're cooperative. They're fully cooperative right now, and Venus is moving closer to Mars. So they are coming together for that love, but opposite Saturn, which is the career, which is pulling also, and to split them in two is literally the meshing of both. Venus rules love, and her ruling sign, the one she rules, is Taurus, which is where Uranus, the ruler of Saturn's Aquarian energy right now, is. So we've got not only a clash, but also a really amazing T-square of cooperation, because it's like the universe is saying, yes, you have your relationship and your love and the drive for a connection, but yes, you also have to take responsibility for that need for freedom and identity, and bringing it together is Uranus in Taurus saying, okay, I've got so many chills over this. How can we find a good middle ground where we can balance that triangle of a right angle combined with that opposition? So there's the opposition, there's the right angle, and that's the T-square. So it's really an amazing energy. I honestly, like, T-squares can be difficult because everyone's at odds, everyone wants their own way. And I'm not saying that's not going to be true or happen, but what it can do for us is really build a bridge and give us that middle ground or give us that cooperative way. And in this case, the cooperative way is finding independence within that coupling. Taurus, Uranus, independence, environment, cooperation, collective within the physical structure. And so we're looking to have community, and we're looking to find maybe a love of community as the current way through this difficulty of clash between Saturn and Venus Mars. Okay, the nodes 10 Gemini, 10 Sag, still fixating on communication, education, travel, and people of other cultures right now. And so just know that that's there. Pisces, not Pisces, I see the P for Pluto. Pluto in Capricorn is now squaring the moon today. We'll be trining the energy of the moon in a couple days over the weekend, and in conjunct the moon early in next week. And so, of course, the Gemini Capricorn story has been ongoing as long as we've got planets in Gemini, which has been about a month and a half now with the Mercury retrograde. So it's a long Gemini Capricorn friction. So Gemini's really taking the brunt of it. It is an interpersonal, quicker moving energy. So that means it's about me as opposed to us. And Pluto is about us, the collective. And now that he's retrograde, he's wanting to get clearer and take things from the hidden out into the public, as does Neptune, as does Jupiter. So really the one entity that retrogrades that is not retrograde is Mercury, and he's kind of taken the hit from a lot of this energy. He's got an approaching square to Neptune and Pisces, retrograde, wanting to bring out the truth and clarity, and then in conjunct to Pluto, also retrograde, wanting to show how the vocalization, the thought, the energy, the learning affects the collective, affects others. It is the other. Remember, it's a psychology of me to you, how we interact, the dynamic between two, and the value that we set up with others in a collective, the we versus the me. So, yeah, Mercury and Gemini is, I would say, right now probably taking the biggest hit of energy, with maybe, probably Uranus and Taurus would be the other two, I think, have the most difficulty as far as growth is concerned. They're really having, like, Taurus doesn't want to be independent. It wants to be interdependent. It wants to connect and be a couple and do things out of love and beauty. And the square to Saturn in Aquarius and the Uranus transit is saying, yeah, but you have to detach on some level. That's all my voice is going to give me for the moment. The last thing I will, for this part of the conversation, the last thing I will say, and this chart does not show that, but it's Vesta in Virgo, and Vesta is the critical-minded energy of feminine critical mind, and the taker of documents and the keeper of documents, and really, honestly, the critic and critique-minded person is really coming back and can be shrewish, can be like hard to handle. And so we're really feeling that energy as well in Virgo. And it's like that little natty noise in your ear going, you should be doing this, you should be doing this. It's probably someone telling you that you should be doing this. Why do you think you can get away with that? I mean, I was living with a family member, and I moved out, and I went back to get a few things, and she's like, well, you have to sweep out under the bed and, take the broom, the dust mop, and sweep under the bed. And it was like a double-sized bed. And I was on my knees sweeping out under the bed because that Vesta said, no, meticulous, underneath, take care of what has to be done. That energy is very strong right now, too. And will be until Vesta gets into Libra. And then she's going to be taking us to task for our relationships, but that doesn't happen until later in July. So it's approaching the 20th, pretty close to the 20th, for Vesta to move into Libra. And I, as a Virgo, for one, am excited to see her go. No offense to Vesta. See you later. Anyway, okay, let's just chit chat about Britney Spears for the moment, just really quickly, so that my voice is not going to take damage from this today, and I can rest it after this. Britney Spears, she's in the news right now. The sun is at her midheaven, right in the center of the sky. I did this chart for June 24th, but she's still in the news. I was looking up today. She's getting the financial advisors, conservators, who are supposed to be taking on her financial conservatorship, asked the court to be released of that. So that's happening. But the sun is shining on her. She's got Cancer on the midheaven. So, of course, this is in alignment with the sun of the country, and it's shining down on her fame and bringing her the awareness of her and her stories to light. The biggest thing I see in her chart, though, is first off, Mars in the 12th house, hidden enemies. Vesta within 3 degrees, what I just got done talking about, Vesta, 3 degrees off of her Mars at 23 Virgo, Vesta at 20 Virgo. I think that's going to really make a huge difference, again, for the paperwork, for the legal documents. And what's really noticeable is her 2-degree Libra rising, which really imbues beauty to a person. Libra makes you very attractive in a feminine sense, in a glowy way, to the public as a rising sign. And so Libra, obviously she's a very pretty woman. Saturn and Pluto in Libra in her chart, and they are only 6 degrees away, so they're conjunct. Saturn, restriction, father, Libra, around relationships, like dad has an ego investment in this girl, she's a woman. Pluto, 25 degrees, major life changes all her life. Wherever Pluto falls in your chart, you will see major changes happen in a pattern in your life. Whenever that Pluto's triggered, especially by transits directly on it, you're going to see some energy waking you up. Now, for her, she's got her 19-degree Saturn in conjunct to Uranus and Taurus. Uranus and Taurus falls in her 8th house of legalities and commitments. The Pluto house, psychology, which she's got some restrictions psychologically through having to take lithium by order. She's being forced to take lithium. She doesn't want to take it. And Uranus is approaching her natal Chiron. So part of her life wounding is the trust of authority figures and those that should be trustworthy. Scorpio. Scorpio is it's ruled by Pluto, but it is ruling the psychology of our lives and the value others put on us. So as a Scorpio rising, I'm going to stand by the idea. I know Scorpio gets a really bad rap and it's negative energy. It is extremely, extremely destructive. And in its positive energy, it brings mystery to light, understanding, and cooperation, and truth. But it can also bring major combustible change. And some of that has to happen to transmute energy. So Pluto is an enormous transmuter of energy through explosions or major life transformation. The collapse of the building in Miami, while yes, it is a Jupiter retrograde motion, it is Saturn, it is also very much Pluto in Capricorn, that trigger can collapse things being in Capricorn. But for Britney, she's got Venus in Capricorn at 25 degrees, Pluto retrograde 1 degree off of her own Venus. Her sense of womanhood, her sense of femininity in the house of home and family. She's probably been suffering this, I don't know how long, but I would guess it's when Pluto went to 2 degrees right around 2010, when Pluto entered her house of home and family. Saturn on her moon in the 5th house, which is romance, creativity, children, and Leo, ego. In detachment, though, in the cooperative element of the collective, Saturn on her moon to the exact degree, 12 degrees Aquarius. So Saturn owning independence, coming up now, using the collective to support. She's got, I know, late night talk show hosts journalists, the collective public rallying for her independence and freedom. I really see this square and the T-square going on in her chart as a major force to really break her free, because her Jupiter is at 1 degree Scorpio. Jupiter now is twining that at 2 degrees Pisces, which can also, Pisces is a transformer from, I don't know if I've said this a lot, but I look at Pisces energy for transmitting retirement. It's where you end a story and you finish off and go into that calm space that's probably more associated with retirement. So having Jupiter trine Jupiter, considered a positive aspect. I'm going to go with that. I talked a lot about how I think it can be a very negative aspect, which isn't a common thought, but what it does is it brings up things that we didn't expect it to bring up. And in this case, it is transformative, learning information, learning about the emotional, distraught life of Britney Spears, Jupiter and Scorpio, expansion of that mystery, the hidden in her first house. She's got that in the sense of self, Jupiter and Scorpio, expansion. I can tell you this is probably why they put her on lithium, which is a bipolar drug. Jupiter and Scorpio can make you, Jupiter is the happy energy, but Scorpio is the depressive energy. She's got 4 planets in Sagittarius, which can polarize. So Uranus, mental health in the second house of the material world, mental health in Sagittarius, polarizing Uranus, in the second house of the material world. She's got this energy that is manifesting, or has manifested, I should say has, in the past when she went through her kind of disjointed behavior. I don't even remember what it's called, but when she shaved her head and had all of that issue going on, knowing what we know now, I can't even get a control of my mouth. Knowing what we know now, I'm pretty sure that planet was triggered early Sag when, and it may have been, it was earlier than 2007, could have been in the 90s that it really truly started to affect her when Pluto hit 0 degrees Sagittarius, which I think was right around the millennium, or maybe 96. I'm just guesstimating. I don't have my ephemeris here to look. So starting around then, and I think that's probably 96 is when she was 15. So that's kind of when this whole thing started. And I would say she probably has been going through this since her career took off, and when she was managed and everything started to get big for her. It's probably been an ongoing struggle because she has Uranus, Mercury, Sun conjunct within 10 degrees, Uranus at 0 Sag, Mercury at 5 Sag, Sun at 10 Sag, and then she has Neptune at 24 Sag, which of course right now is in square to natal Neptune transiting Neptune. So she's got this major shift going on in our chart, which I think is really going to shift, and it has already shifted the energy, but it's going to continue to really transform her life. And it is most of this energy in her chart, the strong energy, is in the lower half of identity and self, with the exception of Uranus going through the top part of the chart. The rest are fast moving: Sun, Venus, Mercury, Mars. Those are the quick moving planets, but most of what's being triggered, most of what's in her chart is in that kind of bowl formation all in one area, which is first house, a little bit of second, third house, communication, expression, music, which is Sagittarius, is the ruler of musicians, and then Capricorn, home and family. So she's got a moon in Aquarius. She's coming into her power with that moon in Aquarius, Saturn on it. And let me tell you, when Pluto hits her moon in creativity, romance, children, whole rebirth, and even when it gets into her Aquarian house, she's going to have this incredible renaissance come into her life. I got so many chills for her, and I really do wish her the best. She wasn't necessarily the kind of music I listened to. She was after my time as far as, I shouldn't even say that. I mean, I listened to Olivia Rodrigo, and I said so much to my daughter listens all the time, and I end up hearing a lot of what she listens to. I listen to Taylor Swift, I listen to Billie Eilish, I listen to a lot of more current artists, Harry Styles, things like that. Lord Huron, one of my favorites right now, if you're interested. Paper Kites and Lord Huron, two of my favorites. And so, coming into a renaissance in her career creatively, reinventing herself, being, I would say, even a little more eccentric and eclectic in her taste in music than you would have maybe thought of her to have in the past. As Pluto moves and transits through Aquarius, keep your eye on her. She's got tremendous power to almost be like this energy of reinvention of motherhood and womanhood. And I do think she would potentially have another child. If she doesn't, she may adopt. Moon in Aquarius, maybe adoption, especially in a couple of years when Saturn gets to Pisces. Pisces can bring in multiple opportunities. She's got Pisces in her house of work, the work environment. So she is very, very, very immersed in creative arts in her work environment. She really enjoys the total emotional immersion in that world. And I wouldn't even be surprised, honestly, to see her in film. As an expression. Neptune in our house of communications, and Neptune also transiting the work environment in Pisces, which rules film and photography. So anyway, Saturn will be in Pisces. I think she will be able to break free by the time Saturn hits Pisces. And then when Saturn hits the Neptune transit and also Jupiter will be in Pisces again next year. And that's going to be a freedom of creative control along with Saturn in her career. She may have to have a fight for creative control with Saturn in Pisces. There may be a fight for that we'll hear about for a couple of years. But I do see her coming out very strong with Saturn moving into Aries, which is about 3.5, 4 years away. She's going to have that Saturn in her house of marriage. And Aries, I don't think she's going to let this crap keep her back. And she's going to get control again and really find her female channeling the masculine power, the divine masculine. Okay, that's enough. I hope you have a fabulous 4th of July weekend. It is a lot of stress energy. Don't feel bad if you end up holding up in your house and just being close to family. The powers that be right now, Venus energy and the moon, and we want friends, family, children, and home. And it's just the way the energy is right now. So anyway, thank you for putting up with my voice, and hopefully it'll be better by next week. And love you. Take care. Have a great week. Bye. Oh, lovely. Okay.
Well, check out Angelic Zodiac on Instagram for up-to-date information on events, discounts, blogs and planetary transits at Angelic Zodiac 1 on Instagram. If you would like to see Shelley's art, ShelleyOverton.com, or for astrology art, go to astroart.net. Music provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. Other music will be credited within the show. Advice given in the program is intended for entertainment purposes only. Join us here next week for more of the Astro Energy Astrology Show podcast. You can find us on iTunes and Google Play, and where podcasts are accessed.